We're going to jump into the pick ban on the lower third here. As you can see there, Team WWE do not let in the Tristana or the Renekton this time around, or the Jace, so they've gone with a completely different style, but they do get their hands on the Aphelios.
Yeah, we're coming in quick and fast because this happened in the past, where we're looking at Camille coming in that top side that you were looking at, Penguin. So, nice job here. Does work very well in towards the Aatrox. We're looking at that Jinx, Tahm, Kench bot lane combo once again. Up against the Aphelios though, so a lot of that late game scaling on both sides, but certainly the range advantage going over towards that Jinx. And we've got a very potent Olaf Orianna combo in towards that mid, which should help in kind of giving a little bit of control, especially against something like a Viktor towards top esports in the mid for night.
I did want the Camille Orianna, but I wanted it for Team WWE. I didn't think top esports would go for it, but you know, I'm still happy to see it, and we can see now what kind of, you know, both massive late game AD carries, like, you know, 200 years for Aphelios as such. And I want to see Beishang do something more. Like, I felt like, again, Karsa kind of just, you know, again, in a situation where we're against some of the top teams, the opposition jungler kind of proved that they're a little bit of a higher caliber than this guy. And I was coming into this week and into this playoff saying, like, he is the best jungler in the league. And right now, I got to start thinking about that again.
Yeah, I mean, look, it just hasn't really come up clutch for him right now. We kind of need to see what he can do in this game, especially when I'm looking towards that top side. I feel like this Olaf Orianna combo can start to roam up towards that top lane quite easily and set up for this Camille. But we will be going into game number 2 between Top Esports and Team WE.
It's the handy thing about being delayed. You get a kind of speed run through a lot of different things. Unfortunately, you don't get to talk as much about the picks and the bans. It's not as fun for you, but gets everyone to the action as quick as possible. And you can see there all along the lines, it's going to be WE trying to see if they can get something. I've never been a huge fan of Viktor, and there's many, many reasons for that, but one of the big things I always find is that when you fall behind as a Viktor, it's very difficult to make plays with him to try and get back. He's not someone who has the agency or the rapport or the ability to try and, you know, get his team back into the game.
He's certainly someone that does very well in controlling spaces, though. And that, honestly, I feel like is the way that they're going to play Top Esports. I'm going to hold on to this point, though, because they're on a ward. They will get spotted coming in here, but it looks like Beishang's just going to answer. Like, you can see he's on that top side. They were well expecting this late invade to come in.
Yeah, they straight up knew it was on about, and Zhuo has got the sweeper, but he will
Shanks,
not gain
can he steal some?
anything there. Shanks not going to go for any steal, just kind of stacking out what he's going for. But it does mean that we're going to see a pretty decent kind of split map. It's going to be bot side for the side of Karsa, with top side belonging to Beishang.
And I feel like in the grand scheme of things, this actually kind of helps out both sides. Because for Beishang, you do want to be playing towards Breathe in this top lane. You can already see like 369 trying to bully out Breathe in this top lane. But Beishang can move across here, get in behind him. So 369 needs to start playing safe here, or just off this quick camp. 369 can find Beishang in behind him.
I was going to say, actually, it depends. Yeah, I was going to say Karsa coming in now off the top of this, but it's actually, I'm actually curious to know how Top Esports thought Beishang started, because if they think he started blue and then went over, then they're actually a little bit behind. And honestly, the way pings were coming out, it actually feels like that. So Beishang should have the runaround here onto 369 and run straight into him.
Yeah, 369 though, will be able to be fine here. He's just going to trade with the precision protocol, so nice job. Now though, look at where Karsa's gone. He's kind of teetered back in towards his own side, so when we look at the clear speed, they're pretty much matched right now. The bigger thing is, you're not really getting punished here as 369 in the manner that you'd expect. Like, I thought that we'd see Beishang actually being able to get into that lane, shut it down before 369 was able to push this in, but Breathe didn't want to go for any aggressive trades, knowing 369 had that ignite. So the wave, what did get crashed, 369 got out of danger, and now Karsa is able to keep this bot lane safe of JackeyLove and Zhuo, who have that push, and they can start to turn this pressure from the jungler on the bottom side into early turret plates for the Jinx.
Mind games, small little advantages here, left and right and everywhere. So see what way they want to go for it. Both junglers going to be pretty much starting on this camp and then just going straight forward. We are going to see a tiny little bit of a CS lead here for Karsa.
It does get dangerous here for 369 though on top side, because look at where the wave is situated. Like, he actually is just going to back away. He's foregoing. He's just like, hey, look, I don't know where Beishang is. I can't actually pressure this lane right now, and Breathe has a nice freeze on it, so I'm going to reset, use that time instead. And now that Beishang's sorted out, Now 369 will come back.
Yeah, and the bot lane actually from Team WE is the first one to make the rotation, so this is a little bit of a kind of a switcheroo from last game. Karsa, though, kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Will have the blast cone to try and get himself out, trying to just be as annoying as he physically possibly can, but honestly, he should be going down. Gravity Field is there, TP is there as well. It's going to be a reset from Knight, but First Blood goes to Jiumeng. They're going to be able to give him 2. Never mind, it's going to be Shanks picking that one up, and out of nowhere, Team WE got themselves a lead.
A nice job. This was Beishang going right. You would expect me to go topside, which is why we saw the reset from 369. I'm going to call your bluff. I'm going to move down, contest Raptors, and catches Karsa with some poor positioning on these Raptors. Overextension, though, from the rest of Top Esports. Zhuo didn't know you to go down with the ship. The captain was already sunk.
And that is a fantastic start for this Aphelios and for this Viktor as well. You're getting 2 kills and 2 carries that want to scale into that late game, that want to try and get those early, power troughs out of the way and get to that first big item. But again, this is just, as you say, very, very smart pathing coming in here from Beishang.
And this is why we love Beishang. This is what he's really good at, is kind of reading what the opponent wants to do. And Karsa was hoping he could keep up this split map, but unfortunately not having that pressure that he was hoping for on bot side. A little bit of a, cue the Benny Hill music right here, but Breathe and top.
Breathe is in top, and Breathe shall be breathing no more. Solo kill going over to 369. The power of having that ignite. Breathe did not expend his his flash to try and get away from that. Pretty much realized he was dead to rights. Should have his TP though to soak up this wave. Not really going to be a huge loss, but definitely a bit annoying.
Yeah, 14th solo kill picked up for 369 now in that top lane. This guy's a bit of a menace when it comes to the laning phase. You can see there, he wanted to mechanically outplay Breathe. Well, he just put him in the dirt. So this is where this Camille now can start to get ramping. Still be a big threat when it comes to the side lane. But certainly when we look towards the team fights as well, you kind of pointed out that Orianna Camille combo works wonders. You've got a lot of safety there as well with Zhuo, so you can push it right to the limit as 369 too. So I think if this Camille gets rolling, could really be a wrench in the works for WE. And we've seen as well, like, if you get 2-3 kills onto a Camille, she'll take over a game.
Definitely has the capabilities, and this kind of, leans down to what we were talking about, the triple threat challenge, if you will, of both these sides. And that very much leads to it. Breathe can be a raid boss, 369 could be an absolute backline assassin if he wants to be, and whoever gets ahead, generally speaking, should have a much funner time in this game. As Karsa picks himself up the Scuttle on the bot side, the Dragon is going to be Infernal for the first one off. There's a big wave pushing into Jiumeng, so that's going to be a little bit of overextension there from the bot lane of Top Esports. You can see already they're kind of moving themselves up to make sure they don't lose any pressure, make sure they get full information in case they do get jumped on by Beishang.
Shanks has no mana mid though, so he's going to need to reset, whereas Knight has just come out of base. So there's always the potential here for Knight to just wander down and have first move advantage from mid lane to try and help out in this bottom lane, which is why we're looking at the rest of WE kind of backing off and say, look, we're going to cede control here, let this crash. Karsa now moving down to this bot side as well. Knight is going to join in just a moment after shoving that mid lane his way as well.
Bit risky if he wants to try and go for something right now. They don't know exactly where Beishang is. Now they do. They know he's on his red buff, and now they know Karsa's here as well. So both junglers kind of linking up now with the rest of their team to try and get this invade going off. But I feel like for Team WE, you can't just have to leave this one go. You can't really fight this. You're just going to have to let it go down. Yes, you lose the camp. It kind of sucks. But now you know where everybody is. You should not be caught out by this dive. Missing is almost level 6. It's going to be a little bit far away from it, though. JackeyLove takes a tower shot. Jiumeng in a little bit of trouble. Flashes away, and they're actually jumping straight onto JackeyLove. Joe is tanking, missing, flashing away. The undertow will be enough to take down the cow. The butcher brings the cow to the slaughterhouse. But Shanks is roaming down. Now, do they want to try and make another play? There is a TP available for Camille, so this could be a 5v3 if they show choose. Karsa just about gets out in a great shockwave. Brings everybody back into the dying arms of Top Esports. Top Esports pick up 2 from that. Big
misplays from WE. Already we saw Top Esports using the fact they had that TP advantage to go for the dive. They knew 369 could join. WE tried to contest, miss out, try to contest again, miss out, and now Top Esports have 4 kills themselves, 1,000 gold lead, the Dragon going their way as well. Like, this is just such a nice start for Top Esports.
1,000 gold, Dragon, couple of kills into mid lane, you're happy to see it, but this starts off like, they do so well. I actually like this from Team WE because they back away and they mitigate as much pressure as possible.
The thing is though, like, Tahm Kench is so good at tanking up these structures here. you can have him with the grey health sit there for so damn long. And Knight as well, like, this position on the ball was so crucial. This is why, like, Orianna's and Viktor's are great. The amount of zone control you offer, he hides it in underneath there, so then you just can't see it. Shockwave rips him straight onto the chompers, and then there's just nowhere to go from that point.
Small advantage here. Of course, when you do have someone like 369 with a teleport and you're trying to feign towards having that and being able to use it, it means you got to back away, so he did lose a little bit of pressure in that top side, so Aatrox picked himself up a couple of things. WE will pick themselves up a Rift Herald, so they can equal up that gold pretty damn quickly if they so choose. And now, where do you want to go if you're top esports? There's no dragon. I feel like you just kind of, you know, take your time with this one, look to try and just keep farming up.
Yeah, they're just going to look to try and keep Karsa on this bottom side. 369 is doing a great job of keeping himself safe. He's, so even without the flash, still pretty handily able to avoid anything that Breathe or Beishang can mustard. So instead, we're going to have Knight and Karsa, as you can see right now, teetering down towards this bottom side, making sure that JackeyLove and Zhuo can keep chipping away at these turret plates, but use the range advantage that Jinx has and the pushing power that Jinx has, as Missing does go in, but top esports are fine to just tank it.
Yeah, they're totally okay just to kind of go in onto that. Whoa, Moonlight Vigil completely missing off, and Show gonna make sure that there is no residual effects of that, and Karsa moving down towards this bot side. So now you know there's no ultimate from Jiumeng. It's gonna be a lot easier to dive.
I think Beishang spotted Karsa though. I think just ships in the night, Beishang was hiding in the bush and caught him. So you can see Beishang starting to move back down. Karsa will be able to spot him though, and Knight will just back off. They don't want to deal with that.
Well, there's an Ignite, a Hextech Ultimatum, and a World Ender. So 369 just using that to an advantage. He actually TP'd back up to the top side, so it's Breathe with a little bit of a summoner advantage as of right now. I will say the Hextech Ultimatum is in a little bit of a longer cooldown, so I kind of prefer that for Breathe, but we'll see if he's able to make anything happen. The big thing will be the TP, that if he's able to get that one off. And now on this bot side, you can see Zhuo and JackeyLove, they're not making it in any way, like, you know, any way easy for them to try and get anything. They jump straight in on top of Jiumeng, and he's dead. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and Missing is still going for these plays. Oh, hang on.
Oh, 369.
The shield.
Oh, the shield. The passive keeps him alive. Breathe almost pulls off a perfect play. Not quite able to get it, but it will lose a lot of CS to this turret. And this could be your win condition now for Team WE. You need to try and get this Aatrox back up.
I mean, the Aatrox is going to have a lot of impact in these fights. Win condition, though, is certainly going to be through Shanks and through Jiumeng on this bottom side. It will give Breathe a little bit more wiggle room where he can push in and look to join with the team, especially with that TP you talked about earlier, Penguin. But right now, they need to stop the bleed on the bottom side. Missing has been baited too many times on this bottom side to go for these engages. Zhuo is ready with that W key for the Devourer all the time, and Jiumeng was the one who paid the price in that play.
Just a little bit too quick on the mark there from Missing. We can see now Karsa and Beishang just kind of going toe-to-toe. It will be Karsa who takes the scuttle as his prize. But again, a lot of gold went over to Breathe. I wouldn't be surprised if he has his Gore Drinker pretty damn soon, if I'm being totally honest. And that's something that come in a minute 20 time when you're fighting over that dragon. That's something that top esports need to respect.
The big thing, though, for top esports is there is quite a lot of burst there. So when you're looking at, like, the Gore Drinker Sterics, as you said, the Gore Drinker just completed. That burst can be an issue, although the Sterics will help out quite a bit in that regard. I'm more interested in seeing how quickly JackeyLove can start to ramp up this damage, because this is where we're going to start to see issues. JackeyLove right now has gotten 2 Cure Plates for himself. He's starting to get a bit scary with this Kraken Slayer, and you can see WE are on the same boat here. As Breathe has already moved down towards this bottom lane, they want to use that TP and that long lane and top side to force a play in the bottom lane.
I love this. He knows that he's not under vision right now, but I think JackeyLove is one of those AD carries that just has a spidey sense for these things. He knows exactly what's going on. He knows that he needs to just kind of be respectful. I think he actually just spotted him there very, very quickly as he popped down the ward. So I think that right now it's been called. In top lane, you got Karsa roaming up now to 369. They can take a lot of turret plates with this.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the trade-off. You still have Breathe committed towards this bottom side. So as long as JackeyLove stays safe, and he can do so with this heal, with this flash, you're not really in trouble.
Oh, the Moonlight Vigil. I like the idea. The concept was there, but now you're TPing up. They got Knight TPing up here as well. It's a double TP, though, so they're trying to 100% commit to this one. Breathe, get Shockwave down. They jump straight in. That's going to be Karsa picking himself up a kill. Now Shanks, a little bit of no man's land right now, will be able to trade off the minions. They will get a dragon, so they'll stop those stacking. But this whole move right now, good flash, 369 in a little bit of trouble. If Shanks can get one more rotation of spells, he might have been able to kill him off, but that was top esports just playing that whole move to perfection.
Yeah, and I mean, Breathe just waiting far too long in this bottom side. Top esports already. The second he pulled that TP back into the top lane, Knight comes to join in. They get the kill, they get some more terror damage down in that top lane, and they're trading so damn effectively.
Still only 1,000 gold lead, but that Jinx is starting to look very, very scary.
Okay, but let's take stock of where that leads us, right? Because obviously we've had a lot of map movements, but you're looking at JackeyLove, Kraken Slayer very quickly working up towards a Rapid Fire, or probably the Phantom Dancer, I'd imagine, in this game, where he just wants to try and have that move speed to keep him safe. 369 is working up towards the Divine Sunder. He'll have that completed very soon, can then go Ravenous Hydra in towards the Sterix Gauge and be a super tank in these fights as well, especially when you think about Zhuo being there to keep him alive for long enough. And you can continue to go for plays like this as top esports in that top lane if you want to, and just continue to grow that lead for 369 as JackeyLove slowly farms up.
Ooh, Shanks dodges one undertow, and that literally keeps him alive. So no flash there for Karsa, does not quite get any purchase with that particular summoner spell, and they back themselves up. Bot lane turret did go down in favor of top esports, so they've traded back top for bot. One turret apiece. Dragon not going to be spawning for another 3.5 minutes, and Jiumeng, now with the Kraken Slayer, should have a much better time at clearing these minions.
It's just the fact that he has little to no AoE unless he's got Inferno. That's where JackeyLove is just able to continually abuse this matchup. Now, though, imagine they're just going to plonk JackeyLove in towards mid lane, move Knight off to just catch a wave, rejoin as a 1-4, and use 369 and the advantages he's gained to power through these side lanes.
Oh, Jiumeng, the flash has to be burned there, otherwise the shockwave would have caught him, and that's a summoner down. Knight will take that trade all day, every day. And that's going to be another very, very easy little Aphelios to pick off when the flash is gone.
Yeah, and that's the big one, especially when you're looking at these potential dives that can come through with 369. You're looking at Karsa as well, who's going to be eyeing him up in these fights, sped up and shielded by Knight. Now, you still have a long time until the rest of the objectives are really coming up. We're 60 minutes into this game, 2.5 minutes on Dragon, still got time for Rift Herald. So right now, what WE want to be doing is trying to find these pick opportunities. Long lane and top, can Beishang sneak in behind 369? Does JackeyLove overextend in mid? Can we get Missing to use this flash to close that distance? Maybe catch JackeyLove away from Zhuo. This is how WE can try and bring themselves back into this game and bring the tempo back in their favor.
This game and the last, it just feels like it's WE on the back foot. It feels like it's top esports at all times, just kind of dictating the pace, dictating where everything's being fought, telling the side of WE is like, no, this is where we fight because we're in a better position for it. This is the objective we're willing to trade because we get the better move off that. This is just these small little things that in this and the last game, it just feels like top esports are in control.
Well, it's because of things like this, right? They're so good at getting vision control, catching people unaware, and it's always about supporting the push power that they have. We saw Karsa playing so heavy around this. Oh, wait.
They actually kill off Knight. They tried to go for a little cheeky pick right there, and it doesn't quite work out. Yes, they lose mid lane turret. That's a nice little bit of gold going over to the side of Team WE, and that's the small little things that we always have to take into account when it comes to top esports.
But they will get top lane tower here for top esports as well, and that is a pretty big win, because honestly what you're trying to do is just completely control the vision that WE have, and now that area of safety has gotten a bit smaller. Knight goes to try and clear out this ward and just takes a step too far, gets greedy, and yeah, tried to finish off Missing, but
oh, that was really nicely played by Missing. Really nicely played by Missing to keep himself alive. And that's 600 gold going straight over to Aphelios. So this is the kind of small little inklings, like, you know, you're kind of thinking to yourself, like, yes, they get 2 turrets, 100% that is more worth, but you don't want to give the money to the Jiumeng.
So the biggest thing that I see for Jiumeng is like trying to enact himself in these team fights. Because if I'm Jiumeng and I go, right, I'm walking into this fight, 369 Hex ultimatum, straight into a shockwave, into Karsa running me down. And even if I manage to get away from that, JackeyLove being able to poke and prod from afar is going to make these fights really, really hard. So you're going to need to see big things coming in from Missing, really great zone control with the gravity field from Shanks to try and dissuade all this follow-up that can come through from top esports. But I certainly think Jiumeng, if he's flashless in any of these fights, just has this massive target on his back.
This is why we see the pressure or the priority, I suppose you could say, onto things like the Thresh. Why we pretty much see a permaban on red side. It is a first big priority because it gets you out of those situations. It keeps you alive. And yes, you just picked up a pick. Yes, you're looking to try and push into your own jungle, but you don't own your own jungle right now. You need to reclaim it if you want to try and contest this, and there's just no way you can. Now, the lucky thing, as I say that, though, is the Moonlight Vigil did come down into mid lane. Graviton dropped down as well. Missing, though, might have to pop the Unbreakable Will as he does. These records are coming in. The flash in from Karsa jumps straight down onto the Udyr, and the Hextech ultimatum on the Breed. There's 2 quick kills. The excitement from JackeyLove keeps him going, keeps this fight pushing forward. Zhuo says he's feeling it. Great flash, but Knight off on the top side of that one does enough. They will not be able to kill him off. Yes, they will, and the power of the Catfish is
JackeyLove's
enough.
going.
JackeyLove is going, and he will continue down that mid lane. Double kill ace. They lose nobody, and they gain everything.
Where'd they go, Penguin? They tried to take one fight against them on top Esports, perfectly positioned to defend all flanks, push back all contenders, and now they find themselves 11-3, a 5,000 gold lead in favor of top Esports. Dragon just gone their way as well, and with Baron now on the cards, because we've just hit that 20-minute mark, what do you try to do as WE? You're being outperformed by top Esports.
That's the best way to put it, and that was Jiumeng and Beishang trying to go out, and honestly just felt a little desperate. Felt like they were just forcing something that didn't need to be forced. You gave up the dragon, it's whatever, it's the second one, it's not going to do anything, but you can see here, it's just a TP. They think they have something.
Well, this is it. It's like, okay, cool, we can lock down Knight. Knight, because of the speed up coming through from teleport, is able to get out of there incredibly fast. Missing forced to pop this ultimate very early, and great call here from Karsa. Like, he just knew he needed to get the fight started, and you can win out. But look how separated WE is, right? Breathe off on one side, Shanks and Jiumeng on the other, and crucially as well, like, WE's composition works very well when it can control choke points. It works where you got like the gravity field set up, you've got Aatrox in the front line being a big threat, same when you look towards Beishang, and buying space for the vulnerable backline. In a situation like that, where you're in these big corridors, you're not really set up front to back, it becomes really hard to operate.
Well, 369 100% wins this duel right now. The Infernal Chains will keep the Breathe alive, or the breath in Breathe, as he backs himself away. They were looking towards Baron top Esports, but they decided against it, as Missing had found himself a little nook, a little cranny, if you will, as Shanks takes a big chunk on top of him. He has to pop down the Chaos Storm defensively, and then that's kind of a big AoE. That's a big teamfight tool you don't have access to.
And it's something that could dissuade top Esports from going towards Baron, right? Because if you're caught in that with the gravity field and also that ultimate coming in from the Viktor, that's a lot of damage and a really good way of separating top Esports. Right now, though, with that ultimate down, top Esports get a little bit braver around this Baron area. They're happy to push into these close corridors where something like this Viktor could cause an issue for their composition.
JackeyLove, alongside Karsa and Zhuo, will keep the total darkness going, as 369 was sneaking his way up through that bot side jungle, and with no turrets in that mid lane apart from the inhibitor, you can't really walk that far close. You have to know exactly where everyone is at all times. There is a TP for Breathe and for Shanks, and they have got vision now that this Baron has been started. It's going to be a relatively quick one, so they need to make a decision right now. 369 is still hovering in that mid lane. Knight trying to play keep away from Beishang. The Baron down to about 4,000, 3,000 HP, 2,000 HP. They know they can probably burst it down if they really, really want to. Now, the Baron has gone down. They do not get in on time. The Moonlight Vigil only lands on the 2, but it's the 2 you do not want to land on top of. Super Mega Deck Rocket alongside the Hextech Ultimatum just peppers them down with damage. Breathe is trying to be a raid boss, but there's just nowhere for him to go. Everybody is falling 1 by 2 by 3 by 4. Triple kill for JackeyLove, and that is almost certainly the game now for top Esports.
So well played by top Esports the entire way along. I love that there's 3 members who are starting up the Baron. They're separating WE into several different spots. Do I chase after Knight? Do I try and get into the pit? And you're being peppered down, that health bar being whittled at this whole damn time. Now, Baron, inhibitor, out the window. You got top lane turret that's about to go down. At 369, he can just continue this pressure in top side after the resets, because you've got in 45 seconds the 3rd dragon spawning for top Esports.
This is why I was probably really hard pushing. I'll come back to this point later, but this is it. Like, Beishang's already down to a third of his HP.
Yeah, and there's nothing he can do, right? Because you've got Knight who's doing so much work. 369 is playing this perfectly as well. Like, he doesn't actually commit to the all-in there. He just gets the flash out of Jiumeng, buys some space and some time, and Top Esports deal with one threat. 369, great re-engage here onto Jiumeng as well. And they just close it out, easy as you like.
Oh no, Shanks, you're not where you're supposed to be. This is not your jungle. This is not your place to be. Actually, Missing died off on the bottom side of this as well. And you can see JackeyLove just does not care who you are, does not care what you are doing. He is going to be able to run you down. They get excited, not quite as fast as an Udyr, but that's it.
Doesn't matter. Knight's behind them.
Oh,
369 is there.
Knight and 369, the Moonlight Vigil is there. Sombrero! Hola, senor! It's going to end up costing him his life. He trades it 1 for 1. But this is Top Esports. This is them locking in that top 4 spot. And this is them putting down a statement that they are back to top 4.
The sombrero comes in for Knight, but the hasta la vista for Top Esports. WE, they've got nothing left. Missing is staring dumbfounded as his base is just going to ruin.
What a game. I wanted to mention how in the first game I was high praise for keeping JackeyLove down. This is why I was high praising it. He's 10-0-7 on this Jinx. He's a monster. If you don't deal with this man, he will take over a game like he has here. Top Esports 2-0 Team WE and lock themselves to top 4.
And what a performance from this squad as well. Game 1 and Game 2 standout performances from 369. JackeyLove coming in to his own in the second game of the series as well, and seeing a very different style of game coming through from Zhuo, but an amazing performance from the TES support as well.
And that's actually third seed. They get themselves third seed. They own the head-to-head at JD Gaming. They're on same game difference. They're on the same game score. They will get themselves third seed, which is just, honestly, such a massive move from them right now, and it's, you know, kind of coming off the back of, like we said, a really strong run in the second half of this regular split, really putting their foot down and saying, no, we're still the scary Top Esports in 2020. We had a rough Worlds, we had a rough kind of Chinese New Year. Now we're here and we're here to dominate again.
Yeah, certainly wiping that loss to Rogue Warriors into the dirt a little bit, just saying it does not matter. Third place coming in for Top Esports, and honestly, feeling back where they belong. Like, this is the Top Esports that we all expected coming in from the early days of spring, coming in towards the end of the split. We wanted to see this near contention coming back in between some of the old guard versus the new guard that we talked about last year with Top Esports and JDG. Well, it looks like we're starting to get just that now in the LPL.
And speaking of the new guard versus the old guard, your top 4 are RNG, EDG, position to be confirmed. Top Esports, JDG.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. And then even below that, you've got FBX, which obviously a new guard kind of team, and Team WE, sadly, will fall down to at best, they will be 6th. At best. So that now the way this works is that if RA are able to beat EDG tomorrow, then RA go up into 6th, and WE drop down into 7th. So WE, they started the season so well, they were high flying. Literally up until week 10, they were top 3. And now they could end up finishing as low as 7th.
Yeah, and it was really hard for them here in this game to try and get up and running, right? Because we saw that split map come in, but Karsa doing a really good job of just playing towards his strengths. Keeping JackeyLove in pressure so then he can push, he can get the turret plate, start to chip away, get that nice gold lead for himself. And we talked about how 369 was playing his lane exceptionally well, resetting at the right times to keep himself safe, making sure he couldn't give anything towards Beishang when he's on the top side of the map, and it lent itself to how good Top Esports looked in this game. All the pieces were coming together, and Top Esports just closed that game out so succinctly.
You know what's scarier than Top Esports? Top Esports with momentum. And this is a Top Esports with momentum. And honestly, I gotta say as well, like, yes, JDG haven't looked great in their wins. They ended the season with 6-win win streak. Like, you can't take that away from them. So these are the kind of the 2 top teams in 2020 coming back and saying, look, RNG, EDG, we're still one of the top dogs. You still got to knock us down before you can 100% get back to your thrones. I think Top Esports are definitely going to be feeling a lot better now after the day.
Yeah, and I think the big one for me for Top Esports and kind of the rejuvenation or the revival we've seen as this split has gone on has been from 369. Like, I cannot praise this guy enough throughout this series. Game 1, that Jace was the focal point. That was where all of their damage source was coming from. I know Zhuo did get the MVP, but it was the carry performance coming in from 369. We come into this game as well. 369 is playing incredibly safe on that top side. He's not giving anything away. And again, he's the catalyst for a lot of these plays too. Although JackeyLove was the one that stood up with the damage, he set it up. And I think that's been the big difference as well in their previous games, is that 369 has been rolling those 9s. The 3s are a thing of the past, and now Top Esports look again as a whole unit.
Well, he'll be the unsung praise, I suppose, from you alone as our MVP to go to JackeyLove. It had to go to JackeyLove. Yeah. The guy was just insane. 10-0-7, 81% kill participation, 200% or 228% damage to gold percentage. What can I say? The guy is still, like, almost certainly the best AD carry in the league.
He is, 100%. At least in my opinion, he's the best. I know people kind of look at Viper, but JackeyLove, even, we were just talking about the revival of Top Esports in the dark times of the early spring split. It was JackeyLove and Karsa, yeah, that were the lights. And JackeyLove now kind of getting to ride the momentum that he held strong in those early stages in towards playoffs and in towards a well-deserved third place.
Yeah, honestly, it really sets the stage, in my opinion, because now we have a lot of different things. We got Top Esports on JDG on a much bigger surge and saying, like, these are the top dogs, obviously EDG and RNG, who thoroughly deserve their top 2 finishes. But now we kind of have a little bit of a redemption story for Team WE. It's like, well, guess what? You dropped the ball a little bit. You got to earn yourself all the way back up there if you want to try and go to at least the double elimination, let alone the finals or even MSIs. So I think for Team WE, there's a lot to look back onto this. I think Beishang has looked good, but definitely has had a little bit of his kind of style, or a little bit of his
the spark is gone.
Yeah, his spark is kind of gone. He's also been kind of figured out a little bit. I think teams know how to deal against him, and like we've seen him on the Udyr a couple of times. It has literally been his most picked in the last few weeks, but like it just isn't doing what I want it to do anymore. And I think teams are kind of recognizing, like, oh, we don't need to care about this as long as we do X, and that's all they have to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, this was the 12th game of Udyr that we'd seen from Beishang, by far his most played, but the problem is, it is a kind of a telegraph style, right? You know that you're going to be going in to try and steal away this farm, try and get that selfish advantage we talked about for Beishang, but Karsa was able to keep it under control and let the lanes for Top Esports do the talking.
Well, we had a long day for today. Of course, if you joined us from the start to the finish, thank you. But we're going to look at the start of the day and all the results that happened. It was I'm not going to call it a barn burner because I'm not going to lie to you. 2-1 the TT. They had the last laugh for the best of the rest. And then for Top Esports, they did dismantle Team WE. Not as hard as EDG, but still convincing.
Yeah, very, very convincing. And I think that's the kind of the heartwarming story for Top Esports fans, is that, look, even though the start may have been shaky, third place is where they find themselves. One game away from having that safety net in the semi-finals with the double elim bracket coming into play. So we will find out eventually who their teams are going to be, but this will be a long time before we see Top Esports once again.
Yeah, honestly, and we look at the table here now, we're going to see where RNG and EDG finish up tomorrow. They are both playing not each other, but separate different matches. If they both win, then RNG will be your top team of the split, but everything until about 7th and 6th is locked. So you got Top Esports in 3rd, JDG in 4th, FBX in 5th, and then WE and RA could swap positions depending on how things go.
But we are starting to get a kind of feel for the way our playoffs is going to go. When you look at the caliber of teams that we have, even sitting 8th and 9th, Suning IG, former world champion, former world finalist, sitting in 8th and 9th, it tells you just how stacked the LPL is this split.
Honestly, this playoffs is going to be insane when we get to it next Thursday, April 1st. And we look towards tomorrow's games, the last games of the regular split. It is LGD versus RNG, and then the last game to count us all out is RA versus EDG. It's still, they all matter. I still think RNG are going to smash LGD, but the RA EDG one could actually catapult RA a lot higher.
That is going to be a big one. And again, I mean, LGD, opportunity to play upset here tomorrow and really just throw a wrench into the work for RNG and make EDG fans very, very happy.
Yeah, honestly, it's going to be, it's been a long season. It's been a very long season. We've gone from remote. We're still in remote, technically. Yeah. A lot of us are still in remote. Shout out to all of our fantastic casters who are, and of course, Mazel and Magical, who came in to help us out when we were a little all over the place. Everyone moving around and going to different countries and stuff like that. But we're here. We're finally coming to the end of the split. And I just don't even know how to feel about it. It doesn't even feel like it's been 10 weeks. Technically 12 because we had 2-week break in between.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's kind of coming to fruition now. We're starting to see the growth of these teams now coming in fully. I mean, even when you look back at the start of the split, us kind of laughing, shout who moved to the top. Ha! Hilarity! What would that be? And now we're kind of like, oh God, how the fuck?
Really good, apparently.
So, yeah, so I think honestly, it's been a big split to see the growth and the development of these teams. But now I really want to see what they can do when we hit that playoff brackets, when the chips are on the table.
Yeah, single elimination until you get to top 4. Best of 5 is always fun to watch because teams can make that miracle run like we talked about. And we'll have to wait and see. We got a lot of playoffs to go, but we have one more day of regular season before that. So for tonight, that is all we have time for. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sticking with us through the thick and the thin. And thank you to everyone behind the camera who helps us either remote or in the studio. And for that, we'll see you again tomorrow. Same time, same place.